Meeting of the Old Town Planning Board to order, and welcome all of you here. We haven't had a meeting in a few months, but glad to see you here. And the first item on our agenda, well, actually, there's no minutes, it says here, right? So
that's correct. That was from the last meeting that we had on the JRL expansion, and because of the length of them, they're on video on the,
okay.
on the website.
I'm assuming Irene isn't back there? Or?
She is.
Oh my gosh, what I gotta...
Oh, she's probably paying attention.
There she is, all right. That's the signal.
She's watching us.
Start the video, okay. Well, good, we got going here. Well, all right, then that's fine. We know what happened,
Yes.
and we've been talking about it since, so. The next item on the agenda is the election of officers, and I'd like to say that I've been the chairman for many years. Tim was the chairman before me, and then he had to go down south, so I took over, and I certainly welcome anyone else who wants to do it. I don't want to hog it, but I will continue if someone wants to nominate me, and you all vote in favor.
Nominate you to be the chair.
Okay.
Do you have to second your nomination?
Yes.
Second?
All in favor?
All in favor, yeah, that's right. We've done that. I would ask that, would you be willing to be the vice chair again?
Sure.
Okay, I nominate you as vice chair then.
I will
We have a second?
second that.
All in favor? Okay,
Take care of that.
Yeah.
okay, so we've
Done
done
for
that.
another year.
Robert's Rules of Order here, we've gone through it, and thank you. I will continue to do this for as long as I'm able,
Thank you.
if you want me to, but
Thank you all.
in the future, if anybody else wants to do this, we do this, usually in January, right?
You're all set, Ted.
Okay.
Move on, Ted.
Okay, yes, sir. Item 4 is the sketch plan application for Lloyd A. Wickett for a 15-lot subdivision on Poplar Street, tax map 10, lot 14, case number 1530. And we have...
Me.
Senator, or are you going to say something?
Myself. I'm helping Mr. Wickett out. He flew in and got here late today. There was a little confusion on what date the meeting was, so as this is a sketch plan, I told him I'd act on his behalf and just give you an overview of it, and we can go from there. Originally, Mr. Wickett was considering this a 13-lot subdivision, but when you look at the entire parcel, he had already split out next to lot 13 to be conveyed to Greg Daigle. That has already taken place. That took place last summer. So I numbered that 14 on my plan, and this will all be reflected. And then lot 15 is the remaining land. So he has 13 that he's carving out for sale. One has been conveyed, and the remaining land is number 15.
And so what was your concern about, I mean, we're doing a subdivision review, right?
Yes.
So that, under subdivision law, if you have more than...
Yes, but he only was considering it a 13-lot subdivision, and it's really not, it's a 15-lot.
Oh,
Because you
I
have
see.
to count the pieces.
Because of that.
Because
All
of
right,
those two
All right,
pieces.
I understand.
As you can see, most the lots are at least an acre, or some of them are up nearing 1.5 acres, 150 foot of road frontage, which is required by the ordinance.
And this is an R3?
This is an R3 zone. He's had his test pits done. He has delineated the wetlands. If you look between 12 and 13, there's a large wetland there that he's totally avoided. You get a little encroachment on 12. As far as, and number 6 also has a little encroachment of wetlands. At this point in time, there's nothing to look for in the back. He left that open. Perhaps at some time in the future, or one of his heirs will do something in the rear land of there.
I see he's left enough room here on the east end, so he could put a road back there to
That's correct.
further develop that?
That's correct.
Okay.
As far as sketch plan, this is basically what we look at. It's the layout of the lots to consider whether or not they meet the ordinance for the lot size, which is 150 foot minimum, 1 acre minimum, which he has done. The next step would be to come in for preliminary, and going through the ordinance for the preliminary, It asks a lot of questions about high-density soil surveys, which in my experience in the past has generally been when they're looking to do roads and any development like that. Within the preliminary, we'll have to see the topo. I've done the topo off our GIS. As I stated in our memo, it starts somewhere around 64 feet in elevation at the very back line, down to about 52 to 53 at the road. So it's a gentle slope down across there.
And from what I can see, just doing some quick math here, none of the lots are under an acre.
That's correct.
Okay. That's, pretty good size here. What's the minimum lot size for an R3?
1 acre with 150 foot of frontage.
Right, okay. All right.
Did they ever, at one point, I remember Charlie Heinen, is it 150 feet perpendicular or 150 feet of road frontage?
Of road frontage.
That's
And
what,
is it-
I understood, was road frontage.
And there's no requirement for a length on the back line?
No,
Okay.
as long as they meet that 1 acre.
Well, just to remind me here on the, considering an eventual development of the land behind, which that's all good high ground there,
Mm-hmm.
the flag lots. Now, that doesn't apply in this case because he would have to build a road and have an accepted city street, I'm assuming, to make a subdivision?
Flag lots are typically only introduced when you're dealing with shoreline zoning.
Well, I thought they had, like, you needed a certain
Uh,
right-of-way width.
Yeah,
I
it's
think it was-
50 feet,
Yeah.
For the
and then-
road itself,
And it had to be 2 acres to be a flag?
2 acres in the back.
That's
yeah.
right, yeah.
Kirkland Forest, where I am,
Yep.
has those flag lots.
Right.
But there's none of those here.
No.
so-
Well, no, but I meant, and that's not.
and our ordinance requires no less than 4 to 1, I believe it is. Flag lots are 5 to 1, but they typically come into play with shoreline zoning.
But any further development of this lot is.
Would have to be built on
A separate road.
a
would have to be
separate
a
road.
separate, and it would have to be, to be an accepted subdivision, it would have to be an accepted city street.
That's correct.
Okay, so is the client aware of that?
Yes.
I mean, I just want to make sure he knows
I
that.
I don't think it's something that Mr. Wickett will do.
Okay, I mean, he's kind of,
He's left it open for, but he has plenty of ability to do that. When you look at our GIS wetlands, any of that land back in there is high and dry, as you said.
yeah. Okay.
There's no vernal pools or anything back there?
That I could not tell you not in the lots that are shown here, but I don't know back beyond there because it's not part of this subdivision, so they didn't investigate it.
I thought there was a certain distance you had to stay from them.
Yeah, it's
It's
250
250 feet.
If they,
If it's a significant vernal pool,
Correct.
it has to be identified by IF&W as a significant vernal pool. I mean, just a little kettle,
Well, I thought you had, yeah, well, I assumed that it was,
I don't believe there's any out there. We used to play out there when we were kids and
there's
It's-
nothing that shows up
yeah.
on the aerial photos
No,
that we
I-
have, that I've seen. And
I was-
to be a significant vernal pool, it pretty much had,
do you guys use the LiDAR information at all?
This is just a sketch plan. I can't answer any of that at this point in time.
Well, I mean, that would show water, that's all.
yeah, well, I didn't see anything that would show up, and for it to be a significant vernal pool, as
What
opposed
is
to just
considered significant?
there's a whole,
IF&W has a set of criteria for
Fairy
vernal
shrimp
pools.
and spotted.
Well, they have to have
Blue
certain-
spotted salamanders and certain egg masses of those,
Right, but you can find those in the one that's half the size of this room.
but it has to
Yes.
be identified.
But to be a significant vernal pool, A, it has to actually hold water all year round. It doesn't dry up. And B, it has to be a significant size. that IF&W identifies it as a significant vernal pool. So,
But it does dry up.
They can dry up.
well, they do by definition, they're vernal means spring,
Right.
but
Right.
for it to be I mean, at least in forestry.
The significant only matters on the egg masses of the endangered species that they find
Yeah.
there. And that can only be, I think it's April 21st to May 21st that they actually go out and count those.
Obviously, for it to be, well, first off, I don't see one. I didn't see one.
If that's a concern, we can have them look at that backland.
I've been quite a while since I've been back in there, I don't remember, and it was probably pre-vernal pool worries.
Yeah,
So I wasn't
you just
really-
filled them up and kept on going.
It does have to be identified by IF&W for it to be, or have, certainly, someone who is an opponent can hire a wetland scientist to go back and look for it and then determine if it's significant. But right now, there's nothing of that kind there. And it doesn't look like there would be, looking at the topography.
And he did have a wetland scientist identify these wetlands.
Yeah, those wetlands there, so.
I think you had a question.
Yeah, so when you're talking about the roads and stuff, so it looks to me like all of these lots would be accessed directly from Poplar Street, so they would just build a driveway to Poplar Street, right?
That is correct.
Yeah, the only issue, and I just wanted to make sure that Mr. Wickett was aware, is that he has to have a full accepted city street to develop this further beyond
Behind.
the back end. So,
That's correct.
and that may be fine, it may be fine, I just wanted to make sure he knew that, and I think that's something you'll communicate to him, right?
And he does know that.
Okay,
I've been talking to Mr. Wickett since last summer
okay.
on this.
And the subdivision they did further up with the town, didn't that require sprinkler systems?
No. No. And again, we're getting the cart before the horse. This is
Yeah,
just a
we
sketch plan.
still gotta have a full
We have to go
subdivision
through
review.
preliminary and then final subdivision.
This is just, the purpose of the meeting tonight is just to basically point out things like we just pointed out and bring up any preliminary concerns, like vernal pools could be one of them. And then approve his sketch plan or suggest or actually insist on changes that we feel are necessary. Right now, I mean, Russ, Tim, you see anything that?
Speaking to the fire protection, I spoke with Deputy Chief Daniels today, and this is something that he will look at as far as sometimes they require underground tanks or a dry hydrant from a neighboring stream or something like that. So that will all be looked at for fire protection.
Yes, sir.
I don't have a map in front of me. Where would the access road be that you're talking about?
It's,
Can we see a map?
Sure.
come on up. Sit at the table.
Put it up here if you want. This is Poplar Street.
Yeah.
This is the lots that he is applying for now. And the other lot that was in last year. Okay, so the back lot, okay, back here, would have to be accessed by this piece that he's left out.
So it's on the, it's towards,
That's not part
On
of
the east
Towards
side.
town, yep,
the same road section as mine.
the
correct.
15
Okay,
lots.
but
though,
that's
I
not
think
what he's-
triggers the
No, I
next-
understand.
No, that's what we just.
It's just that if he wanted to in the
15
future,
lots trigger the next
would be-
level
We're
of
assuming he's holding on to
subdivision.
this.
Requires,
For us, over 4 does,
all we're actually.
for fire protection and,
Yeah, I knew that. I
so
knew
this
all
is
that.
triggering all of those things.
So.
Okay,
everything
they're aware of
was the,
that.
279 foot right away actually.
There's plenty of room, yeah.
Yeah.
I think he needs a minimum of 50 feet, so he's all set there.
There.
How many
Big
acres
pond.
left up here? That's the remaining.
That's what I do.
That's what it says, I didn't measure it.
Well, that's what we were thinking about doing on the Kirkland Road, because there's no hydrants anywhere. You know, way
No.
out the far end of West Old Town,
Someone
there's
get
the
a
one.
map out there?
Uh,
no water out there.
I think he can get a copy of this map, and,
Yep.
you know, this is just a sketch.
I understand that, yeah.
Okay. I think it's a matter of public record once it's,
I mean, it borders me all the way up through,
okay,
and that's the reason, I was just curious.
sure.
That old road go through your property, up at the top of the map?
It's a lined old road, it must, the only thing that can be is, Eastman Skidder Road that used to go up and around there. And no, he didn't cross over when I was there.
No.
From there, he might have jumped up, he did at the time, up on Sue's, they did go up there and do Sue's at the time, but no, the road stopped right there.
Stops right there.
My property, yeah, they've never been on that.
Here somewhere.
It comes out, down by, you can follow it up by, it used to be Tucker's Dump, but it's where, he just lost his wife.
Oh,
Okay, this is
Just
getting
go
on what
where
we
that
need to
house is
know.
going in, the one that they
That's where
had.
Canoe,
It's Hermit's.
where Canoe
Yeah,
lives.
and that's where it used to, there used to be a walkway coming through there, I mean, you could go up through there, whatever.
I thought it was up more across from where I live.
He has another one up there, Gardens,
house.
it used to be, you cross from Gardens Old Road?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, this would be down below,
Yeah, there's like a rock we used to throw at fireplace back there.
yes, yes, used to be a house there.
Well, I'm sure you can contact
with
Dave.
his brother.
I mean, I get no issues or anything,
You get a copy?
but I just like to get some idea what's,
Sure. Well, that's why we're having the meeting, so you.
that's the only reason I come, I mean, I just want to find out what's going on.
I'm sure we can get a copy for you. Of course, there will be a more developed
Nope.
subdivision plan, which will be more developed.
Yeah, okay.
Dave, would it be permissible to give him a copy?
I'm not gonna do that tonight, no.
Okay.
There's no hurry,
The purpose of this meeting is for a sketch plan, and this is
That's
all
all
it
it
is
is,
a sketch plan.
There's other covenants as well on the subdivision on the other side. Or was that just something that the people decided to do when they did
That
that?
whoever developed that subdivision came up with covenants such as you can't have clotheslines, you can't have swimming pools, whatever they want to put into a covenants, they can put in.
In the R3 though, is there any restrictions on buildings?
Nope, just stick-built buildings only, no mobile homes or, no. Nope. And if he wants to put no dwelling under 1,200 square foot, no dwelling under 2,400 square feet, can't park your motorhome in the yard, whatever he wants to put
Fine.
for his covenants, he can.
I was just concerned, my question was what the town had under the R3.
R3 is the most permissive of the zones, so, I mean, you can't build a factory out there, but just about anything else goes. I mean, there's a few things.
But there's lot requirements.
Yeah.
Setbacks from property lines. If you want to have horses, you have to have at least 100 foot on each, from any property line to have your
Those are the type
barn.
of things I was wondering about, you know.
And I can put all that together for you and let you know.
Well, it's available online too.
I was gonna say, is it online?
Yeah,
Yeah, and this is the R3 zone.
just look up, yeah.
Yeah, just,
But the covenants are deed restrictions. They're not,
Oh, I-
they're not anything to do with land use requirements.
So, again, what we're doing tonight is we're just giving him a first look
yeah.
at what he wants to do, and we're just kind of putting our heads together. Once he comes up with a formal, well, a preliminary and then the final subdivision plan, well, then we dive into the weeds and really look at it according to the zoning ordinance a lot more closely. Dave does and we do. And then, so there will be this is just a sketch plan, so there'll still be a preliminary
And then a
hearing,
final.
and then a final subdivision. hearing.
Preliminary is really where they map out everything that we've talked about this evening. Final should come back and reflect what's been talked about at the preliminary.
So we're not even at that stage yet. On the face of it, just looking at it, and Russ and Tim, or, Sandra, anything you see?
Are road permits gonna be required
Yes.
As far as
The DOT,
site views and
road
DOT
entrance?
and,
I believe this is within the urban compact, so that we issue the driveway permits.
but are there requirements as far as site distances?
Yes.
And
Yes.
that would all have to be
That would all have to be met.
demonstrated for each one of these?
Yep. And it's a pretty straight road until you get to where Daigle is, and that's where it makes that hard right before you bear to the left again.
And that's when it goes down the hill and goes across the swamp.
Pretty much down across and then before you get to the bridge.
So, I mean, based on what I see, I think we would ask him to perhaps just take a look at that back lot and see if there's any issues with that.
Yep.
But they're all at least an acre, so they meet the ordinance, the zoning, as far as that's concerned.
Mm-hmm.
I can't think of anything else.
Is any of this property in tree growth?
No.
Okay. I'm a little bit confused about the three-phase subdivision.
He initially was looking at doing it 3 phases, but he brought this to me, and I totally missed that until tonight myself.
Yeah, I don't know that that's available as far as with the state. If this
Well,
is-
he
think
could,
he's
because he could
filing-
build 5-lot subdivision and then come back with another.
With an amended plan, right.
Right.
But it wouldn't, if it shows all of the lots, then it becomes
Then it becomes.
all of the lots.
It's an entirety right now, 15 lot.
And
Yeah.
that's what they're doing.
I think what he may intend, I mean, because like you say, he's gonna establish the entire subdivision, but maybe,
He's had all of these 13 lots plus the 2 went out and 1 remaining have all been surveyed.
so then it's already, there's no point to the.
But originally, he had talked about doing 5 lots, 5 lots, 5 lots, but I think
So
at this point, but I will find that out for,
In the plan, obviously, he won't be using the term three-phase.
correct.
He'll be going
I
with
mean, not that it
13.
really doesn't matter, we're approving the whole thing. If you know.
If that's what he wants.
It does, actually, because once this is done, 15 lots are created, 15 lots are taxable.
Correct.
So as far as tax purposes.
He's paying
he's
15
gonna end up
individual house lot
paying
Yeah.
taxes.
That's right.
So by doing.
And if it's not in tree growth, then he's certainly increased the appraisal.
Substantially.
Yeah.
Because each one of these lots now becomes a road lot, which is your major tax.
But, you know, I own a quarter-mile frontage on Route 43, and I'm taxed for all those lots, and I don't have any of them subdivided out. I'm still taxed for them. So I think he probably already is taxed for those
No,
lots,
it
even though they're not there.
changes
No.
the amount of tax. It will change.
Because right now, each one of these, you could have a 10-acre lot out there. Your base lot is a 1-acre lot. That's where your highest tax is, because that's your buildable lot. The remaining 9 acres is reduced
at a
as back,
different rate.
as back lot.
Right.
Right.
So with what he's got here, he's got, other than if the assessor looks at a 1/2 acre and reduces that, but they're basically all base lot taxable properties.
Okay. So, and he's aware of all of that, obviously. So I think that's what, the point you were making, just make sure he's aware of it.
Right, right, because I just ran into this, and they had done a subdivision, listed it as these phases, 7 lots. We were gonna do 3 lots, and then the final lot with the big lot in the back, and what ended up happening is all 7 lots became legal lots. Even though they said on the map, it's a phase, that's not how it works.
No.
When
Right.
you record this, it becomes a recorded lot.
Right.
And so.
A lot of people don't realize that when they do subdivision.
If he had come to us with just 5 lots.
5 lots.
then that
and
would-
then-
That would have been 5 lots plus the remaining land.
Right.
Right, exactly.
I will double check
But
with
there
him,
again,
but
like I said, I'm taxed for lots that I have not, I haven't surveyed them, and it says right
I don't
on
know how that's possible.
Who?
it. It is.
For here in Old Town?
Yeah, West Old Town.
I'll go talk to Travis.
Are they
yeah.
attached to yours?
Yeah, Yeah, so I got 9 acres and.
There is a step, but it's step taxes, but you wouldn't be taxed the same as a quarter
Well,
acre
okay,
with
okay,
these.
I'm not aware of that.
Yeah.
but,
But, yeah, check
That
with
we can
Travis.
talk about.
Each lot will have the value of a house lot, right?
Correct.
Yes.
Not just an acre of
And
land.
even the remaining land will have a base lot of 1 acre, and then the remaining is Russ was saying,
It becomes a building lot and has that first acre being the building portion, which
which is the
has-
most expensive, and then backland gets reduced as it goes down.
Unless it's in current use, that's what it has to be.
Yep.
Yeah, if it's in tree growth, then it's based on the,
Agriculture, tree growth.
or open space, yeah. Okay, well, is there any other things we need to communicate to?
No, I reviewed it through, not totally through what our ordinance, and this is fine for a sketch plan. I would. Just to go forward.
You make a motion?
I'd make a motion that this be allowed to go further to the preliminary.
Okay. Do we have a second?
Second?
Motion second, all in favor? Okay, great. So we have approved the sketch plan. There will be a preliminary subdivision
And
plan.
you'll all be notified for every step of this, just like we did this time, so.
Any chance of getting it out before the day before?
I went out last Friday and I was under the gun, but yes, I'll make sure that
Out of the
happens.
house for a couple days and then come back and say, what's this? So-
Yes, because all abutting people need to be notified, right?
Yeah, and they were.
Very good.
Do you have any other questions, sir?
Well, not at this time.
Okay. Well, certainly invite you back. Glad to see you tonight.
Yeah.
With that, we will move on to any old or new business.
Yep.
Actually, just one thing about this.
Yep.
Personally, I would have liked to seen more road frontage, little bigger lots. I honestly think that more actual monies could have been generated out of this had the lots been a little bit bigger and a little bit nicer. Not that they're not nice lots, they're just very small,
Yeah, well, they meet the
Other side of the
minimum
road.
size.
We're all 200 foot.
200 foot, right?
200
Which,
plus.
I live on a lot, it's 150 feet on the road, but it goes off at an angle, and we're just stacked up like cordwood in there, and it's just, in town, that's okay, but when out there, it would have been a little nicer if they were a little
That's your
larger.
zone.
Yeah, I understand
But he
that.
does
which-
meet the minimum.
I understand it meets the requirements, but it doesn't seem as though
That's-
the guy on the other side that did our subdivision would have done 200 foot plus if it hadn't been some kind of push from here.
But that's my personal,
When was
My
that?
personal thing,
How long
just-
ago was that subdivision done?
That was done, what,
You
25, 26 years ago?
Just on Lloyd's brother.
Yeah.
Henry on the other side, his brother.
Ah,
Yeah.
And he may have seen the value that Russ was just talking about
I
by
think it was around 88,
having bigger lots.
yeah.
87.
You're gonna build a bigger house and you're gonna,
There's more room to kind of spread out and
I can look at what the ordinance was at the
Buffer
time,
between the
but
other
Yeah.
people.
Has it changed?
I think we should address that.
not, well, I've been here 7 years and it hasn't
Not that I like
changed
to
since
tell
I've been
people
here,
what
but
to do with their property.
and 26 years ago. But again, as Russ was saying, more road frontage, larger lots, you're gonna have a bigger house, you're gonna have more bigger outbuildings.
That stretch along there on the other side, all of those lots are bigger. But there was wetlands in the back, so
We
he
got
just,
10 acres and we can't subdivide.
Yeah, you couldn't.
couldn't
do anything with it.
So I understand that we can't subdivide.
On the road
That's fine, that's
frontage.
fine, that's the
That's
problem.
what it amounts to.
And that's a covenants.
I think because of the wetlands, I think it
It
was,
may have been a DEP,
you guys kind of,
Well,
now, does that have to go on the state review?
no.
Old Town has resource protection zones, and we will
see
modify
a lot
the
of that
boundaries of that,
developed,
but you
sure.
gotta have a wetland scientist to define the upland soils and the hydric soils,
You must live
where the
next
boundary
door to
is,
Henry.
in order for us to change the boundary. A lot of our resource protection lines
So
are
you just
straight,
pair these,
and they cover more area usually than what they need to.
Scott, and then me, I'm next to Knut.
And with your lot, also, with 200 foot of frontage,
Knut Hermanson's a guy who.
Okay, that's who I
our
saw.
ordinance for that zoning
Last name
district.
remember.
Yeah, so I'm between Canute and Scott.
If you'd need 150 foot, so that leaves you 50 foot of frontage. That our ordinance allows for a 50-foot right-of-way, you can do a back lot.
Flag lot.
XYZ Randall.
But that's our ordinance, but that's our ordinance, that's not a
Only if you had a buildable
covenant.
envelope, so you'd have to hire a wetland scientist to determine where the hydric soils are.
But then it would be
Maybe-
an amendment of the original subdivision, and if the covenants say you can't,
Yeah, then you're.
Yeah, I know no intention.
yeah, no, I hear you, but, so there are opportunities there.
I ran around down back there with a soil auger for a while. My soils days are a long ways.
Well, good to see you this evening. Thank you for coming.
Thank you all, we appreciate it.
Thank you.
Night. Do we have any?
I had lots of dumb questions.
Yes.
All kinds of new.
Oh, yeah.
Asking when.
Boy, new stuff.
New business. We need a new member. Anybody have any ideas before I put this out in the paper to advertise for it?
Well, let me see. We got a surveyor, we got engineers, 2 engineers.
I know, the board's,
Forester.
Secretary?
Well, you're in law enforcement though, weren't you?
Yeah,
So,
Sato,
and Glenna's, you know,
bank.
financial,
financial,
Phil's
so,
engineer.
I mean, if we had to choose, I mean, I think we got a great board. I mean, you got a lot of expertise,
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
it's-
and yours in surveying and yours in engineering and all that. It's
I was at
many
a-
times, it's been,
I was at a land use seminar this week and listening to some of the horror stories. I am so proud to have you folks on my board and so pleased and honored and
well, can you perhaps give us maybe a little time to look around?
yeah,
And
You have any suggestions?
I don't. I don't. I have to be careful about doing that, but if you folks knew of someone, it'd be,
well, I
Is there a certain expertise that we should
well,
think about,
I
or
mean, Steve was great. I mean, from the banking point,
the financial?
financial end of it. I mean, Glenna she's got a background with that, but Steve was really he was our financial expert. And it'd be great if we had another financial person, I think.
can't get another Folster on the board?
I'm not sure he'd be interested.
Okay.
So I do, let me poke around a little bit.
Okay.
And see if I can, last time I asked, somebody that works over Sewell Company as an appraiser. And I asked her if she would, consider it, and she said, I'd have to give that some very serious consideration.
Well, all right, yes, we have some time.
Okay.
All right,
Like maybe by the end of the summer.
maybe, yeah, that's obviously soon, we need another member, but, see if we can find, I mean, I think financial background would be great. Obviously, we'll take what we can get.
Well, now easy.
That's how you got me.
That's how you got me. I mean,
Well, I
really.
will tell you that, and you'll remember this, it was, gosh, oh my God, it was like 20 years ago. There was a certain individual who was campaigning to get on the planning board. And he had very strong opinions. You may remember who I'm talking about. And I think he's gone to heaven now. But I called up, was it Charlie or it might have been the city manager at that time, and after I'd talked to everybody on the board, and so I advised the city manager at the time that if he got on the board, that there would be 6 vacancies the next day. Which we had all agreed, pretty much, if that happened, we were all gone. So, yeah, check with us first before.
Yep.
There are a couple people I think we might, I'm thinking there's a certain fellow on Center Street that we might be. We might
Next.
not wanna.
Next item, Habitat for Humanity, 3-unit building at 159 Perkins Ave. In looking through our ordinances again and looking through the state subdivision rules, it was my understanding that we could hear it under site plan. That is only for leased units, it's not for individual lots. So it's gonna have to come in as some modified subdivision, and they know that, where I'm working with them
Where
on
is
that.
it?
Perkins Avenue.
Right by the park on Perkins Avenue, almost across from the bike trail that goes up through.
Okay, yep.
The city got a house there, we tore it down, we gave the land to Habitat. Well, they're getting ready to do a 3-unit dwelling there, which is the first they've done up here. Portland has done them very successfully. There'll be a homeowners association for the surrounding land. But
So is it like a condominium or townhouse or?
there's 2 single-story on the end and a 2-story in the middle,
So there's gonna be, it's like a condominium then?
but they're owned. Yeah, yes.
Condominiums are on too. You remember, I don't know, you weren't here, but we had that one up on top of Academy Hill that
Hellas,
has a
yeah.
condominium agreement.
Yeah,
And-
this whole, the same thing will happen, it's just, it requires subdivision, and I can't see on an established city lot of going through everything a subdivision requires. High-intensity soil site,
Oh, no. Have them bring a sketch plan in, and maybe we can go down through the. what's
Pliskin Day is
required
working
and-
on it, they're showing topo, they're showing drainage, they're showing all the
Yeah,
utilities and all of
You don't need to
that.
have them spend a ton of money on it.
I'd rather see the money go to the project.
Right.
Yeah,
So if you brought a sketch plan in, that we could just go down through the check thing and decide what it is that we
Okay.
really need to, would that be a cost-effective way to help them out, do you think?
Yes, yeah. It's gonna be a very nice looking project. I've seen renditions of it, and it's gonna be
Great.
very nice. And again, it's the first that they've done
Yeah.
in this area.
this is the first Habitat for Humanity in, I thought,
No,
3-unit.
3-unit.
Three
oh,
units.
okay.
Everything
There's
else been
one on-
individual.
There's one on Bennett Road there
Yeah.
that they just built.
Yep.
That's an individual unit though, right?
Right,
On an
yeah.
individual lot.
So it just gets permits through me, but where it's a 3-unit.
Shoehorn that in
yes.
there.
And that's that's gotta be an R2 there, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so,
Yep. No, they're fine, they got plenty of land and.
yeah, so multifamily is no problem, yeah.
Next item, it's been a while, but I've had people call me that has large acreage, wanting to know about the exemption to the 40-acre parcels for subdivision rule. So I looked in the state planning and land use laws, and there it is, the exemption is there. However, when I read further, 115, when I read further, and it used to just say a lot of 40 acres or more, it was exempt from subdivision law. Now it says a lot of 40 acres must be counted as a lot except when the municipality has by ordinance or the municipal reviewing authority has by regulation elected not to count 40 acres or more as a lot in a subdivision. So when I was at my land use seminar the other day, I asked the gentleman, I said, our ordinance speaks of 4401 through 4407 of the state planning and land use law book. Does that automatically put that in? He said, no, our ordinance would specifically have to say that. Don't know if that's something you're interested in. I think what that would do is somebody that had 500 acres could sell off X amount of 40-acre lots, 5 40-acre lots. A lot of people want to do a hunting camp in there and don't really care about any amenities for that. But we could put language in there, once that was subdivided again, then they would have to come in and look at subdivision law. I don't know if that's something you're interested in, or,
I'd be interested in looking at that. And you wouldn't even need to put language in because once it's no longer a 40.
acre parcel, it's a
40 acre
subdivision
parcel,
anyway.
It becomes a,
So we would just have to specifically spell it out under exceptions in our subdivision ordinance.
so it would be adding that line to our subdivision ordinance to bring it in compliance with the state, more
With the
or
state
less.
planning laws. That's something I can bring up. I'm just trying to get stuff done that on my back burner and.
And then when some or just all of those lots then want to be further subdivided, then
whomever the first one in that starts subdividing, the roads get brought to the standards. Now, I was reading today, we do make provisions where it doesn't have to be a city street, but it has to be recorded as such. That this will never, until the road is brought to city standard, it will never be an accepted street. Don't come to us to plow it.
Right.
Don't send the trash trucks up there.
But that wouldn't allow a building then, right? If we had that and it wasn't an accepted street, would that allow building to
The
take
way I
place?
read that today, and I was looking through it closely, the way I read it was, if it's on the plot as recorded, then you can make building lots on there.
But then if it's not an accepted city street,
We're not gonna plow it.
we're not gonna plow it, maintain it, it's a
So
private,
when
it's a
does it-
driveway.
When does
Essentially,
it
it's a
become an
driveway.
accepted city street?
When
they
all the
develop?
infrastructure's put in, no, when all the infrastructure is put in, whether it be storm drains, water, sewer,
So then
It's got
it
the-
essentially would be a private street, and what is the wording in Old Town about private streets?
the ordinance allows for it.
It does.
Yep.
Okay.
It just, in years
Like a
past,
driveway.
there was so many of those that took place over around Razzle and all of those in there, that just over the years, we've taken and we plow and they're dead ends and we're backing trucks up and all of that.
Along Benneck Roads, a few of those.
Because it was never specifically said,
Yeah.
this will never be a public street.
Right.
It's like Old Mill Road, that's a dead end, they plow it.
We plow a lot of dead end roads.
Well, a subdivision I recently did, that the town required the wording on the plat to say they will not be responsible to accept
Yeah.
ownership.
And that's how our
Maintain it or anything.
until such time that the base is the right way, the ditching, everything is put into place.
Right. Right.
Because I think a lot of those, like Young's Lane and all those were done, and
That was like in the 60s.
we plow those, and,
Those are public or private?
Those are private ways.
But
but the city
plows them?
has,
Well,
but there was nothing in place so the city could say, we're not doing it.
well, there's all kinds of, examples of different situations. For instance, my property line borders on the Stagecoach Road, which is out town
Right.
line. The town line goes right through the middle of the road, and Old Town just said, we aren't having anything to do with that. Okay? So it's a private landowner association, there's gotta
Right.
be 25, 30 people back there.
And you got the tree farm guy back in there.
Yeah, so, that, basically, they have to take care of it,
Right.
And they do.
and they do, yeah, they take care of it,
But that's all I get for the immediate.
Well, one thing that I would like to ask you, maybe you could talk to Bill about, and is whether or not the Maine Municipal Association is gonna be holding any of those workshops for planning boards. We haven't done it in ages, and I would think some of us might, I would go again, I always learn something new. If
Yeah, I can
the
check into
budget would
that.
allow us to go, and I would think some of the newer members and.
The big budget I got for you folks, of course, we can find the money.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, just for the record, Mr. Katsiafikas treated us really well last time he bought us coffee.
Coffee, right.
All right, so I'm pretty happy with the city attorney, so,
And donuts.
and
So,
donuts, yeah.
for right now, that's it.
All right,
Very good.
anything else?
Motion to adjourn?
Second?
Ooh.